The galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. In the void beyond the Epsilon sector, silence stretched like an invisible noose, carrying the weight of centuries of fear. Every colony, every trade hub, every outpost with even the faintest human presence had learned the same lesson: something was coming, and when it arrived, nothing would survive. Commander Jason Mercer sat alone on the bridge of the ISS Vanguard, a reconnaissance cruiser assigned to monitor the farthest reaches of United Earth space. The soft hum of the ship's engines vibrated through the metal floor, a reminder of life clinging to existence amid the darkness. He stared at the tactical displays, his hand resting lightly on the console, though his knuckles were white. Alerts blinked red across the holographic panels, blips of lost worlds, destroyed stations, and fleeing civilian convoys. Every icon was a testament to the relentless advance of a force the galaxy had only whispered about in hushed tones: the Zark Dominion. They were not just conquerors. They were predators, bred and engineered to annihilate. Metallic horrors fused with living tissue, their ships more than vessels, they were extensions of the Zark will. Entire planets had been reduced to drifting debris fields, colonies burned, and civilizations erased from history. Even the most fortified fleets had fallen. Now, only the Vanguard patrolled the rim, watching, waiting, and hoping to report anything back to Fleet Command that could slow the inevitable. Another report from Taris 9, Lieutenant Kelly Saunders said, her voice barely masking the tremor of fear. Her eyes darted over the screen as she relayed the message. Orbital defenses obliterated in under 30 minutes. No survivors. They just vanished. Nothing left but smoke and wreckage. Jason exhaled slowly, the sound hollow in the quiet of the bridge. How is that possible? His voice was low, more to himself than to Kelly. They shouldn't be able to move this fast. Not with a fleet that size, not with the weapons they're using. This defies everything we know about combat in deep space. They adapt, Kelly replied, her tone edged with dread. Every time we think we understand them, they evolve. Shields, weapons, tactics, even their assault drones seem to learn mid-engagement. We've lost entire fleets trying to figure them out. There's nothing left to try, Jason. Nothing. A heavy silence settled over the bridge. Outside the viewport, distant stars glimmered coldly, indifferent to the carnage unfolding light years away. Jason's gaze lingered on them, as though seeking answers among the celestial bodies. He clenched his fists, the weight of command pressing down on him. His mind raced with simulations, contingency plans, probability matrices, all of them useless in the face of an enemy that didn't play by the rules. Elsewhere, across the void, the Zark Armada carved a trail of death through the outer systems. On board the flagship Boxar's Judgment, Captain Boxar watched the holographic displays of his fleet's recent conquests. His multi-segmented body shimmered under the eerie glow of the command room, each movement deliberate and predatory. Send the phalanx to the Vortis cluster, he hissed, a sound that carried through the chamber like acid on steel. Leave nothing. No resistance. No survivors. Let the stars themselves tremble at our approach. And yet, a flicker of something strange appeared on the Zark sensors. A small anomaly, subtle and almost imperceptible, flickered on the peripheral edge of their detection grid. Voxar's compound eyes narrowed, their iridescent facets catching the hololight. What is this? He demanded, his voice sharp enough to startle even his lieutenants. Back on the Vanguard, Jason was the first human to notice the anomaly. On his screen, a vessel unlike any other sliced through the void. Its hull was sleek, massive, and glimmered as if it absorbed and bent the light of distant stars. The design was unlike anything catalogued in the United Earth Defense Archives. And most striking of all was the emblem faintly illuminated on the side, a white, glowing insignia Jason immediately recognized, the seal of the United Earth Defense Fleet. Kelly, he said, leaning forward, voice taut with disbelief. Get a sensor lock on that ship. Kelly's fingers flew over the controls. Her eyes widened as the readings came through. It's impossible. No ship in our records matches this size, this power output, this hull integrity. It's like, her voice faltered. Like a warship built for gods? Jason finished for her, voice low, almost reverent. The bridge went quiet. Even the hardened crew, veterans of countless skirmishes and border patrols, felt it, the raw, creeping sense of awe that only appeared when something extraordinary crossed the horizon. They weren't watching a mere ship. They were witnessing the sudden arrival of a legend. The Vanguard's proximity sensors lit up with unprecedented readings. The mysterious vessel moved with a grace and precision that mocked the Zark Armada's brute force. Jason could feel it. The presence of the ship itself was a message, a challenge carved in steel and energy. "Open a calm channel," Jason ordered, his voice steady despite the racing of his heart. Kelly complied, transmitting the standard hailing protocol. "This is Commander Jason Mercer of the ISS Vanguard. Identify yourself." A calm, unwavering voice answered. "I am Commander Ethan Caldwell of the USS Defiance. All Zark forces in this sector are to cease engagement immediately. Any hostile action will be met with annihilation." Jason's hand froze mid-motion. He stared at the display, reading and rereading the response. The USS Defiance. He had heard of it in passing, rumors, legends, an experimental flightship whispered about in the highest circles of the UEDF. But no one had ever seen it. Not like this. Not in combat. The sheer magnitude of the moment pressed down on Jason. A single human warship capable of feats that had defied imagination had appeared on the front lines. And from the look of the readings, it wasn't just surviving. It was a threat. To the Zark. "Sir," Kelly whispered, her voice trembling, they're not just here. They're moving toward the Zark fleet. And the readings, the enemy is reacting. They're withdrawing. Confused. Panic, it's spreading." Jason could feel it deep in his bones. The galaxy was about to witness a turning point. The Zark, the scourge of countless worlds, were for the first time uncertain. Fear had entered their ranks. And it was human fearlessness that had caused it. Outside the viewport, the void remained indifferent, stars burning silently as they had for eons. Yet across that empty darkness, a single silhouette advanced with inevitability. Humanity, long underestimated, had sent forth a champion, a warship that carried with it the promise of resistance, the embodiment of defiance, and the beginning of hope for a galaxy teetering on the brink of annihilation. Jason Mercer's lips pressed into a thin line. His hand hovered over the comm panel, ready to respond to any orders, but none would be necessary. The USS Defiance would speak for them all. And in that moment, he understood a truth the galaxy had yet to learn: legends were not born from fear. They were born from courage. The shadows of annihilation were receding, just enough to glimpse the light of a human warship cutting through the darkness. And in that light, hope began to burn. The void itself seemed to shiver as the USS Defiance cut through the darkness. The Vanguard followed at a cautious distance, every sensor reading from the experimental warship sending waves of astonishment through the bridge crew. Commander Jason Mercer felt the same mixture of awe and fear that all humans did when faced with the Defiance. It was not merely a ship, it was a statement. And now, the galaxy was listening. The Zark Armada had begun to falter. Even at full deployment, the biomechanical horrors were losing coordination. Fleets that had previously annihilated entire sectors now drifted in hesitant formations, unsure of how to confront this new threat. Reports from distant colonies confirmed it: orbital shields inexplicably failed, assault drones malfunctioned mid-flight, and entire war squadrons turned tail. The human warship's mere presence had thrown the greatest conquerors the galaxy had ever seen into disarray. "Sir," Lieutenant Kelly Saunders said, her voice tight with disbelief. "The Zark, they're breaking ranks. The fleet is retreating." Jason's fingers hovered over the console. "They're not just retreating, they're terrified. And it's not just strategy, it's instinct." He leaned closer, eyes glued to the tactical display. "This ship, it doesn't just fight. It dominates." The Defiance's sensors painted a portrait of destruction in motion. Sleek pulse cannons flared, energy shields shimmered as they absorbed the brunt of attacks that would have shredded any conventional vessel, and advanced targeting arrays dispatched entire Zark squadrons with surgical precision. Commander Ethan Caldwell stood at the helm of the ship, tall and imposing, his blue eyes unwavering. Beside him, Chief Engineer Lara Winslow monitored energy output, ensuring the ship remained at peak performance. Energy reserves holding, sir, Lara said, her voice calm despite the carnage on the displays. If we push the next salvo, we'll overload their shields before they can react. Caldwell's lips curved into a subtle smile. Good. Let's remind them what humans are capable of. The Vanguard observed in stunned silence as the Defiance advanced toward the Zark command nexus, an orbital fortress bristling with cannons and bristling defenses. Jason felt a chill run down his spine. This was not merely a battle, it was a declaration. Humanity, long underestimated, had arrived. The first shots rang out like thunder across the vacuum of space. Zark cruisers fired salvo after salvo, their weapons honed through centuries of conquest. Yet the Defiance moved with almost preternatural precision, dodging, absorbing, and retaliating. Each blast it unleashed tore through enemy armor, scattering fleets like ash in the wind. From the Vanguard, Jason watched as the Defiance's cannons struck with surgical accuracy. A Zark dreadnought erupted in a bloom of light, its hull fragmenting into drifting shards. Another cruiser collapsed inward, its energy core detonating silently, a ghostly bloom visible only through the sensors. Kelly swallowed hard. Sir, it's not just fighting. It's rewriting the rules of engagement. Every strike is like it's designed to demoralize the enemy before it even hits. Jason's jaw tightened. That's exactly what it's doing. Look at them, disorganized, panicked. For the first time, the Zark are unsure. And that uncertainty is deadly. The Vanguard received a new transmission, one that reverberated across the system. It was not a hailing, not a call for negotiation, but a broadcast, a warning to every system under threat. This galaxy belongs to no one. Earth will not watch idly as life is extinguished. To those who seek dominion through fear, we are coming. The Zark, usually coordinated and merciless, hesitated. Voxar's compound eyes narrowed as he observed the Defiance from the flagship command deck. Impossible. They are mere primitives, he hissed. They should burn, as all before them. But every command Voxar issued only revealed the Defiance's tactical superiority. The ship anticipated attacks with uncanny accuracy, exploiting weaknesses in formations that no one had thought to defend. Pulse lasers tore through the lead cruisers, decimating squads before they could execute maneuvers. Drone swarms were vaporized mid-flight. Entire communication nodes were annihilated, leaving the Zark fleet in chaos. On the Defiance, Caldwell's voice carried through the bridge like a blade cutting through tension. Hold formation. They will make mistakes, let them. Patience wins wars. Chief Engineer Winslow nodded, fingers dancing over the energy interface. We've got power to spare, sir. We can sustain the shields and push the offensive without risking critical systems. Good, Caldwell replied, eyes fixed on the holomap. Then let's remind the galaxy why we fight. Back on the Vanguard, Jason and Kelly watched as the first Zark retreat signals appeared on the displays. Panic rippled through the enemy fleet. Even seasoned observers could not hide their astonishment. Never before had the Zark fled before the approach of a single human warship. Sir, Kelly said, voice trembling, they're pulling back. Entire squadrons. Look, they're abandoning forward posts. The colonies, they might survive. Jason exhaled slowly, relief tempered by awe. They're not just retreating, they're learning. For the first time, they've realized that humans aren't easy prey. The Defiance's movements were both aggressive and poetic. It maneuvered through the void like a predator, closing in on the Zark command nexus while evading a hailstorm of plasma and missile fire. Each strike it delivered was precise, devastating, and unmistakably human. Then came the pivotal moment. The Defiance's pulse cannons aligned with the orbital fortress. Energy surged through the main arrays, building to a crescendo that rattled even the Vanguard's sensors. With a final, thunderous release, the fortress erupted in a bloom of incandescent light, shattering the Zark command center and scattering the surrounding fleet. Jason watched, almost speechless. They've destroyed the command nexus. One ship destroyed an entire fortress. And the rest of the fleet, his voice trailed as the readings updated. Chaos. Disarray. Retreat. Kelly's hands hovered over the comm panel. It's as if they're leaving a message for the entire galaxy. And they were. Across every system, every colony under threat, the Defiance's broadcast rang out. Let this be the last warning. Humanity protects what is ours and what is innocent. Any who threaten life will face the same fate. This galaxy is no longer yours to conquer. Jason Mercer felt the weight of the moment. Humanity had done more than defend, they had declared themselves as a force that could not be ignored. The Defiance's presence alone had changed the rules, rewritten the expectations of an entire species. Outside the viewport, the void remained silent and cold, indifferent to the battles raging within it. Yet across that emptiness, a single ship blazed a path of defiance, a symbol of resilience, and the first spark of hope in centuries of fear. Jason turned to Kelly, a mixture of awe and disbelief in his eyes. They didn't just arrive to fight, he said quietly. They arrived to change everything. The galaxy is about to remember humanity. Kelly nodded, her eyes wide. And for the first time, maybe we'll survive. Above them, in the vast emptiness of space, the USS Defiance advanced toward the heart of the Zark Dominion, a living testament to human ingenuity, courage, and unyielding will. Where terror had reigned, hope now surged like fire, unstoppable, radiant, and absolute. The dying sun of Terran 9 cast a pale, ghostly light across the battlefield. Its dim glow reflected off the hulls of ships scattered like shards of glass in the void, illuminating a war that had raged for hours yet felt eternal. The Zark Armada, the galaxy's most feared conquerors, surged once more toward the USS Defiance, their dreadnoughts firing salvo after salvo. Yet for all their fury, their movements were hesitant, uncertain, and fractured. On board the Vanguard, Commander Jason Mercer's eyes followed the Defiance as it moved through the chaos like a predator through the tall grass. Every cannon blast, every evasive maneuver, seemed premeditated, deliberate, almost ritualistic. There was a rhythm to its destruction, a deadly symphony that no Zark could anticipate. They're holding their ground, Lieutenant Kelly Saunders whispered, voice taut with disbelief. I've never seen anything like it. Not one ship has faltered. Jason's jaw tightened. They're not just holding their ground, Kelly. They're dominating the battlefield. Every move they make forces the Zark to react, not act. That's the difference. Commander Ethan Caldwell stood at the helm of the Defiance, surveying the swirling chaos on the holographic battlefield. His expression remained calm, but his eyes, sharp and unyielding, tracked every Zark maneuver. Beside him, Chief Engineer Lara Winslow monitored the ship's systems, her hands dancing across the energy arrays that powered the experimental Starfire array, the ship's ultimate weapon. Energy levels stable, Lara said. We can maintain shields at peak capacity and fire the array without risking critical systems. But sir, it's going to draw attention. Good, Caldwell replied, his voice low, resolute. Attention is exactly what we want. Let them see that humanity does not bow. The Zark, sensing the approach of the Defiance toward their command nexus, unleashed everything in a final, desperate gambit. Swarms of assault drones veered from the fleet in deadly formation, plasma missiles streaked across the void, and the psychic howls of war-bred generals reverberated through space. Each strike carried the weight of centuries of conquest, yet the Defiance met them with effortless precision. Pulse cannons flared, shields absorbed impacts that would have shattered ordinary ships, and the human warship maneuvered with a grace that seemed almost unnatural. Jason Mercer watched in awe as the Vanguard coordinated fleet support from a safe distance. He could barely comprehend the scale of what he was witnessing. For the first time in recorded history, the Zark had faced an opponent that did not merely resist, they forced them into retreat and confusion. They're predicting everything, Kelly said. Her voice trembled with wonder. Every attack, every maneuver, it's like the Defiance is reading their minds. Jason didn't answer immediately. His gaze was locked on the tactical display, noting how the Zark fleets faltered under the human warship's relentless advance. He finally spoke, quiet but certain. It's not just prediction. It's experience, ingenuity, and humanity. That's something they can't calculate. That's why they're falling apart. As the battle raged, Caldwell gave the order that would turn the tide. Prepare the Starfire Array. Target the command nexus and surrounding fleet nodes. Fire when ready. The ship shuddered as energy surged through the massive arrays, building into a crescendo of raw power. On the Vanguard, Jason felt the vibrations through the hull as if the universe itself had paused to bear witness. Now, Caldwell commanded. The Starfire Array discharged, a pulse of energy larger than a small moon, rippling through space. The Zark flagship disintegrated in a blinding explosion, shattering into fragments that drifted silently across the void. Surrounding fleets erupted into chaos, some retreating, others destroyed before they could regroup. The Zark command nexus, the heart of the enemy's operation in this sector, was obliterated. Jason exhaled, leaning back against the console. They did it. One human ship just dismantled an entire command center and scattered the fleet. Kelly's voice was barely audible. And they're still advancing. The remaining forces, they're fleeing. Panic is everywhere. Caldwell's calm voice broadcast across the void, reaching every system under threat. Let this be the last warning. Humanity protects what is ours and what is innocent. Any who threaten life will face the same fate. This galaxy is no longer yours to conquer. Even the Vanguard crew felt the weight of the words. The Defiance had not merely won a battle. It had reshaped the perception of humanity across the stars. A species once considered minor, inconsequential, now stood as a beacon of resistance and power. On board the Zark command structures, Voxar screamed in disbelief, his multiple limbs thrashing as he struggled to comprehend the loss. Impossible. We are superior. We cannot be defeated by primitives. But the evidence of their failure was clear, etched across the battlefield in twisted metal and drifting debris. The Defiance pressed forward, ensuring no opportunity for regrouping. Every remaining Zark cruiser that had not fled was systematically destroyed or disabled, each maneuver precise and ruthless, yet efficient. Caldwell's tactics were surgical, but the message was unmistakable: humanity would fight, and humanity would endure. Jason Mercer, watching the last of the enemy fleet scatter from the Vanguard's scope, felt a rare swell of emotion, pride, relief, and awe. He turned to Kelly. They've done more than survive. They've given the galaxy hope. And they've shown the Zark exactly what humans are capable of. Kelly nodded, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and wonder. Hope, and a warning. No one will underestimate us again. As silence finally fell over the battlefield, the Defiance remained at the center of the void, a monument of steel and defiance, its pulse cannons still glowing faintly, shields shimmering with energy, and hull unscathed. It was more than a warship, it was a statement of human resolve, a warning that those who dared threaten life would pay the ultimate price. Caldwell finally allowed himself to relax slightly, standing tall as he surveyed the aftermath. This isn't just a victory, he said to his crew. It's a message: courage, intelligence, and determination can change the course of history. Never forget that. Jason, still observing from the Vanguard, allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had faced annihilation, yet here they were, alive, victorious, and unbroken. For the first time, the Zark would know fear. And the galaxy would never forget the moment a human warship appeared, unyielding and unstoppable. The USS Defiance moved onward into the darkness, leaving behind a trail of hope, fire, and legend. Across the sectors, colonies celebrated, survivors wept, and the story of humanity's triumph began to ripple through the stars. It was the dawn of a new era, one in which humanity no longer lurked in the shadows of greater powers, but stood proudly at the center of the galaxy, a force of courage, resilience, and unshakable will. And somewhere in the void, where the Zark had once ruled unchecked, the first whispers of fear began to spread. Fear of a species that refused to bow, refused to surrender, and refused to die. Fear of humanity.